Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. As always, we are grateful for the time to be able to connect with you all. I see a lot of familiar names in the chat, but if you've not joined a service webinar before, my name is Bruce Anthony, and I'm one of the trainers with Service Technologies. Now, before we get started, I want to point out that I have several colleagues on the call today who can answer your questions via the chat function. So please feel free to ask away throughout the webinar. You can do so using the questions tab, which you should see under or next to the hand raising icon. So they'll answer your questions directly, but they'll also pass along questions to me that they think will be useful for the entire group. I also want to note that if you have to leave before you receive a response, our customer support team will reach out to you after the webinar. Now, before we just jump right in, I want to make sure you're aware that all of our past webinars are also recorded and available on our YouTube channel, which you can access at video.servicetech.com, or just go to YouTube and search for Service Technologies. We'll come back to this a little bit later, but with that, let's go ahead and get into it. So today we are going to be talking about a new feature which was added in our most recent update, and that's opportunity stickers. So first we'll walk through defining what this feature is, its purpose in your console. Then we'll talk about how to create and implement these stickers on the admin side. And finally, we'll walk through a few more examples and different ways that you can use it. So, of course, we're going to start out by defining our terms. What are opportunity stickers and how do they improve your volunteers' experience? And at their core, stickers are a new visual communication tool to provide another form of engagement that allows your volunteers to understand your programming better and also at a glance be able to identify opportunities that fit their abilities and schedules best. Stickers use the existing framework of opportunity tags, but they expand their usability to the volunteer side of the system instead of remaining on the administrative side. Now, to make this a little bit more clear, it's best for us to just take a look at an example within my example console of how these stickers are employed and how they affect the volunteer's experience. So what we're looking at right now is the example console, the demonstration console embedded into a website. So it looks a little bit different than the standalone version of Service. But of course, these concepts kind of apply across both. But you can see here, as we're looking at our event cards or the opportunity cards, there is a new line which includes different images or icons. And these are the stickers that we're talking about here today. These stickers are based on your tags, and they allow you to communicate information about your events that you want volunteers to see or potentially even to be able to search by. So just looking through these, kind of at a glance, you can get an understanding for what some of these things represent. But a volunteer can mouse over these if they're on desktop or on a laptop to see more information like the name of the tag beyond just what the icon is. If they're on their phone, they can click on the tag to see this same name. And then for some of these, where you've enabled it, a volunteer can also click on the tag itself to search by that. So they can use that tag to create their own sorts of filters and identify events that fit their needs. So just as a few examples here, you can see we have one that's wheelchair accessible. If someone wants to find events that are only wheelchair accessible, they can click on that tag, and that'll show them all the events in my system, that meet that criteria. Obviously, this expands into a lot of different ideas. There's a bunch of different ways that you can choose to use this, but looking through a few examples, in my system here, I have this wheelchair accessible, childcare provided. Sometimes I have things that tell a volunteer information about the event instead of, things that are searchable per se, like this event requires heavy lifting or a background check is required or the volunteer has to have been approved. So you can provide information about kind of attributes of the event, and you can also provide searchable options. So volunteers can find events that kind of meet their abilities or meet their needs, kind of how they want to engage with the system. So again, from the volunteer's perspective, what this is doing is it's introducing another layer of communication. Volunteers can see, the different tags that you've posted, the stickers that you've posted, and they can use those to filter the events on their own. So if they want to find a subset of events, they can use those, stickers to run that kind of search on their own, and really just help them identify what works best for them. There's a few other places where this shows up. So like, for example, if a volunteer clicks into an event, they'll still see those same stickers at the top. So maybe this event doesn't meet their schedule, but they still want to find events that are like this, they can use your stickers to go and run that same kind of search and find other events within that vein. So there's a lot of usability here from the volunteer's point of view, which is kind of the main focus of stickers, is just giving them the ability to run those sorts of filters. This does still work in tandem with the ability to create pre-filtered landing pages on your website. We've talked about this in the past in different webinars, but the idea here is you have a button, let's say on your website, that says, click here to view all the family-friendly events. And that would take someone to a page where you've already established that filter. So if you've already done that on your website, this actually just works immediately with stickers. So you can see here now I've just gone into filter by family-friendly events, using that sticker as if the volunteer had clicked on it themselves, but I just pointed them there straight away. So that's kind of what these look like from the volunteer's point of view and how they're applied and how the volunteer kind of searches by that, by clicking on those. One last thing I want to show you about this is that if a volunteer signs up for an event, once they've had a filter like this applied, right? So right now we're looking at only family-friendly events. You can tell because that sticker is kind of outlined. But if I go in and register for one of these events as a volunteer, I'm just going to do this quickly by quickly logging in. You can see that that filter is still applied once I've reached this page. So if the volunteer wanted to sign up for some other shift within that vein or that has that same sort of filter, they'd be able to go through, and select something else to register for. Okay, so that's kind of the volunteer's point of view. We're going to switch gears here and talk about how these are created on the admin side of the system. So as an administrator, if you want to set up a sticker for any of your existing tags or for a new tag, all that you need to do first is to create the tag. So if it's something new that you want to create, maybe you've seen some of these examples like childcare is provided or closed-toed shoes are required or wheelchair accessible. All you need to do is create that tag on any event. Could be just one, could be multiple events at one time. That tag needs to exist in order to add a sticker to it. There's a bunch of different ways to create tags. For example, when you're creating a new opportunity, in the advanced options, if we scroll down here, you can add a tag through here. So maybe I want to make a new sticker that represents, closed-toed shoes are required, right? So I could just go in and write out the tag however I want to, maybe without the typos. But I could write a new tag in here as I'm creating a new event. You could add it through here. You can also add tags to existing opportunities. So if we go into search and manage existing opportunities and I go into a particular event here to manage that opportunity, up at the top here, I can click to add an opportunity tag. And again, I could just write it out here, closed-toed shoes, add the tag in. Once I've created that tag, now I can add a sticker to it. The way you add a sticker to an existing tag is through the tag cloud. And you can get here in a number of different places. Every event has this blue icon to go to the tag cloud. You can also get there directly through search and manage existing opportunities. At the top of the page here, there's this view tag cloud. This also exists at the top of the volunteer management database. And then it even exists here in the profile icon. You can go into view the tag cloud directly from there too. But if we go into the tag cloud, you'll see for each opportunity tag, so again, this works with your existing tags as well. If you've already been creating kind of a framework of tags that you want to create filters by or searches by, and now you want those to be more public facing, you can use those existing tags. But you can see here, all the tags that I've created have a different icon on the left-hand side. If you haven't yet applied a sticker, it'll sort of have this default sticker, and you can click on that to edit what the sticker is. So the tag, it doesn't actually matter what you've named the tag. There's a separate display name that volunteers will engage with. So I might say closed-toed shoes required, because that's how I want volunteers to read this tag. And basically, this is the information that gets displayed to volunteers. And then from there, you can pick what icon you want to use. There are a lot of options within here. So you can kind of scroll through and pick whatever you'd like to use. In my case, I'll probably use this shoe icon for this example. And then at the bottom, you also have this sticker status. So you can create this sticker as either admin only, or public display. Admin only is exactly what it sounds like. The sticker will function exactly like your tags function now. Volunteers can't see them. You can still filter by them or create pre-filtered landing pages, but volunteers aren't seeing this information on the card, which is what we kind of focused on initially. If you want volunteers to see the sticker, which is kind of the main purpose, you'd want a public display option. And there's two options here. You can either choose to just publicly display the sticker, or you can display it and allow searching by it. So in some cases, it's best to just display the sticker and not have volunteers search by it. Like this closed-toed shoes, volunteers aren't necessarily going to be searching for events that have this attribute. It's just something that I want to inform my volunteers about. So I would make this just public display. But if this was something like wheelchair accessible or family friendly or kid friendly, I would probably want that to be something that volunteers could search by. And so I would choose public display and search. That way a volunteer could click on it and then run a search by, that particular tag. It's up to you when and how to use this. You can choose to make all of your tags searchable if you'd like to. There's really no limit to this. It's really entirely up to you. Okay, but once we've applied a sticker here, that immediately goes into effect. So you can see now that image exists on this particular tag. And if I go and search for, that event, we could go and log out actually now and see this from the volunteer point of view and see that tag exists, on the back end. So we can see that, or rather on the front end. So volunteers can now see that tag on any events that have that particular tag. So the sticker's showing up now. It's really as simple as that as far as implementing and adding stickers. It doesn't require a lot of extra steps. You can use your existing tags. You can create new tags and they immediately get published. So again, just to walk through where to find that and how to add the stickers in. When you're logged in on the admin side, all you need to do is go into the tag cloud, which there are several ways to access that. I think one of the simplest ways is through the opportunity management side, because that's sort of what we're talking about anyway. Just go into view the tag cloud. And then from here, for any existing tag, on the left-hand side of the named tag, you can select to apply a sticker. You can also edit these. So maybe you want to change one of the icons that's currently in use or change whether or not it's searchable. You can always go and edit those later as well. So if I click on this, it'll allow me to change that. If I want to change the display name, if I want to make it public or searchable or disabled or admin only, you can choose that through here. So that's how you add them in. Pretty straightforward. The biggest thing really is, what do you use this information to represent? So I want to talk about a couple examples next and different ways to use this. But just as a reminder, if you have any questions for our team here today, feel free to use the questions tab to write those in. But yeah, let's walk through some examples, that you could use tags to represent. Now I have a lot of examples already written out in my system. If we go back to my event listing page where I have that information posted, you can see them here and they're pretty visual. So most of them people could just kind of interpret on their own, like childcare is provided or wheelchair accessible. We have some events that are swimming or water related. CPR certified is required. I used an icon here for saying a background check is required or that you have to be approved for this particular event. Pretty common ones here too, like groups are welcome or available for corporate partners, something like that. You can also see there's a court-ordered sort of icon. If this is an event that would accept court-ordered volunteers, you can kind of visually indicate that with a sticker. So again, we have quite a few examples laid out here, and these really can be used to represent whatever you need to. Commonly, I see these used to represent, again, either requirements for an event, like you have to have a certain certification or a certain training completed, or that there's some other kind of requirement on the event itself of whether or not volunteers, need to bring or do something or be able to speak a certain language like Spanish speaking or multilingual or things like that. And then the other way to use these tags is to just display information about the event, like what might be required, like closed-toed shoes, something like that. Okay, so we're going to move into questions next. So again, continue to feel free to write in those questions. One of the things that we got a question about was how to clear a tag when a volunteer has run a search. So from this page, if a volunteer has run a search for a tag, they click on the tag. There's an option here right at the top to clear it. They can go into manage what filters are being applied, but they can also just click on that tag again to clear the filter. And the mouse over here does say that. So again, if they're on a desktop or a laptop, they'll be able to see that when they mouse over the tag again. It says click to clear the applied filter. If they're on a phone, when they click on that tag again, it will say this same information. So basically they can just click it again to remove the filter. Or if they want to go into that other menu, to actually see all the filters that can be applied, they can do that as well. And it's kind of big and bold at the top that there is a search filter applied, and they can click into here to manage that. There's other filters that volunteers can use too. You may have seen this menu previously. They can filter by location information or date and time stuff. But the keyword filter is the tag in this case, and they can clear it through there as well. The simplest way, probably the most common way that volunteers will end up using this, is just by clicking on the tag again to remove that filter. Okay, and then I also wanted to mention too, if a volunteer has that filter applied and then they register for the opportunity, again, that filter sticks, or persists after they've logged in. So once they've registered, that filter will still be applied. But again, the same options exist for clearing it. They can click to manage what filters are applied. They can see the tag that's currently highlighted, and they can just click on it to remove that filter as well. So the same options exist once a volunteer is logged in to remove those kinds of filters. Okay, let's jump back to the admin side here. From the admin perspective, I wanted to point out again kind of what icons exist already within the sticker menu. But I also wanted to mention that if you have an idea for a sticker that you would like to see added to represent some kind of task or job that you don't see represented within here, please feel free to let our customer support team know. What kind of icon might fit whatever you're looking to do. There are a lot of options in here currently, so feel free to kind of scroll through and use those. But if you have any ideas for a particular sticker or something that you don't currently see within here, again, you can always use our customer support team and ask them about adding that kind of image. If you have an example, of course, you could include that or just describe, what you're looking for. And as a reminder, the way you engage our customer support team is through the Need Help button at the bottom of the page. So click on this option. You can type in a topic through here or just leave it blank, but click on Contact Us and then submit your question through here. So if you do have an example image you want to use, you can add attachments or just describe kind of what you're looking for. And of course, this is true for any sort of question you might have as well. Okay, another question came in about tags that you already have in your system, because obviously tags have existed for a while now, and you might have already implemented those pretty heavily. Stickers can just be tacked on top of existing tags. You don't necessarily need to redo all of that work that you've created to create your sticker or your tags, and kind of all that different functionality. What you can do is just use your existing tag. By default, it'll still be in the system, and it'll have no sticker applied. So all you need to do is go into the tag that already exists, like this particular tag in my system existed before this update. If I wanted to add a sticker to it, I can click on Apply Tag Sticker and then just go through the same method that we walked through earlier. It does not have to be a new tag in order to implement stickers on it. Those can be implemented on existing tags as well. Okay, and another question came in about, can you edit or change a tag after you've added it? And yes. All you need to do is basically just click on the tag again, and you can make changes to it. So again, the menu that we're in right now is the tag cloud, which you can get to from a bunch of different places. Where I normally go to get here is through search and manage existing opportunities. At the top of the page, view tag cloud. It's got that kind of blue cloud icon. And in here, if you have a sticker that you want to change, whether you want to change the name of it or what the sticker is or how it's used, all you need to do is click on that sticker, and then you can change any of those attributes. You can change the display name, you can change the icon that's currently in use, and you can also change how the sticker is in use, its status, meaning whether or not it's displayed, and also whether it's searchable. All right. Well, that will about do it for opportunity stickers for the most part. Obviously, implementing this new feature is pretty straightforward. There are a lot of different ways that you can use it, and I'm sure the gears are turning and you're already thinking of different ways to implement this exciting new feature. We're excited to see how you use the ability to engage volunteers in this new kind of visual manner and help them become more efficient in identifying shifts and roles that fit them well. Obviously, if you have any more questions, we'd be happy to take those on this topic or really any others. Our support team is always available. We talked about that need help tool at the bottom of the page. And I also want to reiterate that our past webinars are also posted publicly on the YouTube channel. So if you go to video.servicetech.com or go to YouTube and search for Service Technologies, you'll find our channel. We have a lot of playlists listed up here. Most of this content is intended for administrators, but you do also have some for volunteers as well. Okay, a couple more questions have been coming in, so we'll jump back to that. Obviously, if you do have questions, please feel free to keep writing those in as well. Question was asked, can the tag cloud be alphabetized? And yeah, the tag cloud is kind of sorted in its own manner. From the volunteers' perspective on the stickers, those are sorted alphabetically. The tag cloud is sorted from the admin side by default by quantity at the top of the page here. So like which tag is most common is kind of how this is sorted initially. But you do have the ability on the admin side, using this drop down in the upper right-hand corner, to sort alphabetically. So if you want to sort it that way for your own purpose, you can. Obviously, this is based on the tag itself, not on the friendly name or display name of the tag. From the volunteer's perspective, when these tags are employed, there is a display name, and that's how they're sorted for volunteers. So when they're looking at the event listing page, the tags are sorted using that information. So, but yes, from the admin side, if you want to sort your tags alphabetically, again, the default perspective is when you are in the tag cloud, it's sorted by quantity, but you can choose to tell it to sort alphabetically if you prefer. Okay, I think that about does it for all the questions for the group at large. Obviously, if you do have more questions, feel free to contact our customer support team. We're excited to see how you use this feature. I think it's going to be a good one for your volunteers to engage the platform kind of more simply and a little bit more visually. But yeah, if you do have any questions about what we've discussed today, or if there's anything else that we can help you with, please feel free to contact our support team by emailing support@servicetech.com or by using the Need Help button at the bottom of the page. So thank you again for your time. It's great to see all of you, and we look forward to meeting again in our next webinar.